Have you ever felt something so deep for someone that it didn't just pass with time? It lingered. It kept showing up, sometimes in your thoughts, sometimes even in your dreams, and often in your duas. That feeling, that desire, that pull. It wasn't like every other emotion you felt. It felt different, special, sacred almost. But in that very depth, a question starts to arise in your heart. Is this from Allah? Or is this just me getting caught up in my own emotions? Because let's face it, the heart is complicated. When we desire someone, it's not always easy to tell where that desire is coming from. Is it genuine love? Is it a divine sign? Or is it a trick of the Nafs, dressing up infatuation to look like something spiritual? And in a world where phrases like follow your heart are thrown around so easily, where halal love is romanticized and haram is often disguised as destiny, it's even harder to tell. So many fall into traps of the heart, thinking they're following Allah's will, when in fact they're just following their desires. But that doesn't mean all feelings are fake. It doesn't mean every emotion is a temptation. Sometimes Allah really does place love in your heart for a purpose. Sometimes to teach you, sometimes to test you, and sometimes to guide you back to Him. And that's what we were going to explore here. The signs that your feelings, your desire, might not just be from yourself, but might actually be from Allah. You start to notice that every time you think of this person, you're reminded of Allah. You think of your prayers, you feel the urge to make sincere dua. You don't feel reckless, you feel responsible. You're not rushing to impress them, you're trying to become better, more sincere, more connected to your faith. And maybe, just maybe, that's because this desire isn't leading you away from Allah, it's leading you to Him. When a feeling is from your nafs, it usually pulls you away. You start to justify small sins, talking late into the night, delaying your prayers, letting your guard down bit by bit. You feel obsessed, distracted, disconnected from your spiritual focus. But when a desire is from Allah, it centers you. You begin to check your character more. You lower your gaze, not just out of shame, but out of reverence. You're careful not to say too much, not because you're afraid of being caught, but because you don't want to displease Allah. That kind of caution, that kind of inner restraint, that's not weakness. That's a heart being purified. You start to notice changes in yourself. You start making dua, not for the person, but for clarity. You ask Allah, if this is good for me, keep it. If it's not, take it away. You start thinking about nikah, not flirting. You start planning how to grow as a person instead of dreaming up fantasy conversations. And it's in those small moments of sincerity that you feel it. This isn't just a crush. This is a call to something deeper. And yet, sometimes the path doesn't go smoothly. You might feel like things were just about to work out, and then suddenly it all pauses. The conversation's slow, the energy shifts. The person becomes distant, or maybe you both agree to take space. And it's in that silence that doubt creeps in. Was it a mistake? Was it never meant to be? Was it just my imagination? But maybe, just maybe, the pause wasn't punishment. Maybe it was protection. Because when Allah places something in your life, He also protects it. And sometimes that protection looks like a delay, a sacred pause, a slowdown that gives your heart room to reflect, to heal, to prepare. We live in a world of speed. We want answers fast. We want feelings resolved quickly. But Allah works in divine timing. When something is purely from your desires, you rush, you push, you ignore red flags. You say, I'll change after I get what I want. But when something is from Allah, there's a calm in the waiting, a strange peace in the silence. You don't feel frantic, you feel trusting. Because deep down, your heart starts to whisper, if this is written for me, it will never miss me. And if it's not, no matter how much I chase it, I will never catch it. And that trust, that surrender, that's not weakness. That's real iman. The Prophet Muhammad said, what has passed you by was never going to befall you. And what has befallen you was never going to pass you by. So maybe that door that closed gently was a form of rahmah. Maybe the distance wasn't rejection. It was divine realignment. And when you feel a strange stillness in the silence, that's a sign. A sign that Allah is still guiding your heart, even when the path seems unclear. And then there's this other thing. You've always had boundaries. You've always been cautious with your interactions. You didn't let your heart wander easily. But then, This person comes into your life, and suddenly you find yourself on guard even more. Not because you're weak, but because you realize how easily your heart can be moved. You start to beg Allah more. You ask for protection, not from the person, but from yourself. You're not being cautious out of guilt. You're being cautious out of reverence. Because now you know that the heart is fragile, and that even good feelings can become dangerous if they're not held with care. You're not afraid of falling in love. You're afraid of falling into sin. And that shift, that deep internal self-checking, that's not emotional instability. That's spiritual awareness. It means your heart is awake. When your desire comes from the nafs, you justify things. You say, we're just talking. I'll repent later. You get caught up in the moment. But when your desire is from Allah, it humbles you. You start to pray harder, not to be with them, but to be protected from your own weaknesses. You ask Allah not just to give you what you want, but to only give it if it's good for your akhirah. That's not infatuation. That's taqwa. And taqwa isn't fear of love, it's fear of losing your connection with Allah. The Prophet said, no one gives up something for the sake of Allah, except that Allah replaces it with something better. So if you're fighting your desires, if you're setting boundaries, if you're asking Allah to guide you even if it hurts, that's a sign of strength. That's a heart under divine protection. And then there's the deepest sign. You asked Allah to remove the feeling. You begged, you cried, you told yourself over and over, this is not for me, it's just shaitan, it's just a test. You tried everything to erase it. You blocked them. You distanced yourself. You filled your time with other things. But the feeling stayed. It didn't grow into obsession. It grew into reflection. And that's when you knew this isn't just an emotion. It's a mirror that forced you to confront parts of yourself you were ignoring. The desire didn't destroy you. It refined you. You started watching your speech. You started repenting for even the smallest sins. You became more honest with yourself, more sincere in your worship. You started making istikhara, not to force an answer, but to surrender to the outcome. And that's when the desire stopped being a distraction and became a form of guidance. Maybe Allah placed this love in your heart, not to give you a person, but to grow you. Maybe it's not about ending up with them. Maybe it's about becoming the kind of person who can love for the sake of Allah. And if this desire led you to prayer, to patience, to purification, then no matter how the story ends, the love already served its purpose. Because in Islam, love isn't measured by the outcome. It's measured by what it does to your soul. Did it bring you closer to your Lord? Did it protect your dignity? Did it teach you tawakkul? Then it was never wasted. Desiring someone is not haram. Acting on it without limits is. We are human, we feel, we yearn, we hope. But what makes us different as believers is how we handle those feelings when they arrive. Do we follow our heart blindly? Or do we bring that heart to sujood and ask Allah to guide it? So if you're feeling confused, overwhelmed, or even heartbroken by what you feel, ask yourself this. Has this feeling made me love Allah more? Has it made me seek His pleasure above anyone else's approval? Has it made me protect my modesty, my character, my akhirah? Has it made me let go of control and trust Allah's plan? If yes, then this isn't just a desire. This is a journey, a spiritual awakening, a soul being reshaped by love that is centered in worship, not wrapped in whim. And if the pain is still there, if the longing still hurts, then fall into sujood and say, Ya Allah, if this person is written for me, make it easy and pure. If they're not, remove them from my heart without pain. Replace this feeling with something better. Make me fall in love with what you've written for me. Because even if the love doesn't lead to marriage, if it led you back to Allah, it was always meant to be. Love in Islam is never in vain when it becomes the reason you found your way back to Him. Let your heart ache for what's right, not for what's rushed. Let your soul long for what's written by His wisdom, not your impulse. And if this message touched your heart, leave a comment below. Ya Allah, purify my heart and guide my desires. Your words might be the peace someone else is searching for tonight. May Allah guide your heart, protect your intentions, and write for you a love that brings you closer to Him in this life and the next. Ameen.